is not the offspring of witchcraft or Satan. It was created by man. It will grow to be 15 feet tall. It will have huge eyes, webbed hands, hooked claws. It will walk upright. And it will mindlessly, mercilessly kill every living thing it meets.
Welcome to Lost and Found Rewound, where we watched a film that poses the question, why wasn't Talia Shire cast as Olive Oil? I'm Chris Lost.
I'm Found Jim.
And I'm Bear Leader Rick Rewound.
Bear, now that's made up. Bear Leader.
Do you want me to read you a little story about what bear leaders do?
I would like to hear it.
A bear leader was historically a man who led bears about the country. In the Middle Ages and the Tudor period, these animals were chiefly used in the blood sport of bear baiting and were led from village to village. Performing bears were also common. Their keepers were generally Frenchmen or Italians.
I feel like that's racist.
Frenchman, Italian with that bear.
Oh, the Frenchmen and their bears.
Later, the phrase bear leader came colloquially. How do you say that?
Colloquial.
Colloquially? I can't say it.
Colloquially.
To mean a tutor or guardian who escorted any young man of rank or wealth on his travels.
Bear leader takes on a whole new meaning when you think about it that way.
I don't like that.
I'll help you with your travels, young man.
Yeah, I'm a traditional bear leader. Actually,
Rick, would you like to provide a synopsis of the film today?
Yeah, I'm going to read from the VHS box from Movie Tracks Video. I got to take off my glasses. Got to push this up way close to my face.
It's a really dark room, too.
Yeah, but it's under the shrink wrap with the Paramount Home Video logo obscuring some of the text. Prophecy is a contemporary story of stark terror. Robert Foxworth and Talia Shire star as an idealistic doctor and his wife, at the request of a concerned friend, travel to Maine to research the impact of the lumber industry on the local environment. They begin to investigate a succession of mysterious and terrifying events. Ecological freaks of nature, including fish that grow many times their normal size,
A giant tadpole.
and a series of bizarre and grisly human deaths.
Grizzly, get it?
Yeah, grisly. Veteran suspense director John Frankenheimer manages to present Prophecy as
manages.
Yeah, as a monster movie, in quotes, as well as a suspenseful tale about the deadly forces which result from the pollution of our environment.
That's it.
That's the whole movie.
That's what I saw.
That's definitely what I saw.
And I have to say, some of the shots on the box, there's a picture of Robert Foxworth stabbing a bear with an arrow in the water. Talia Shire cradling what looks like a baby, but we all know is a swaddled mutant bear baby.
A bear bee.
Yeah. And then there's another picture of her. I think there's another picture of her holding the bear baby. Oh no, it's her sitting next to Armand Desante, interminably waiting underground for someone to be murdered by the bear. How long was that scene?
That scene was amazing.
I fell asleep during that scene, so I don't know how long it was. How long? Like 10, 15 minutes? I felt like I had a good nap.
To escape the bear, they jump into a tunnel underneath the teepees because, of course, we know that Indians would dig tunnels under their teepees. That's a famous historical fact. They get in the teepee tunnels, and they're all sitting there scared as they hear the bear, like, still kind of terrorizing some of the people up above. And then there's this montage of eyeball shots that goes on seemingly forever. And I'm like, it reminds me of something, an editing trick that I would have done and thought was cool. And then as I was watching it in this movie, I'm like, oh yeah, some of that stuff I would do where I'd like try to build a theme with a bunch of cuts. That's kind of rookie stuff. Anyway, we get through all that, and eventually it's really quiet. And the guy is like, okay, I'm going to go take my flashlight, and I'm going to just peek my head up, and immediately the bear rips his head off or tears up his face. Oh, it was amazing. It was just absolutely amazing. And then the quintessential eyeball shot was the Indian or the Opie. Is Opie an okay thing to say? I don't know. The
way the guy was saying it wasn't correct. Wasn't a nice way of saying it.
The indigenous grandfather. They showed a shot of him looking at the fire, and there was fire burning in reflecting on his glasses. It was a great shot.
It was like from a music video. There should have been some kind of cool music playing.
Madonna.
There was music.
Dancing.
Bonnie Tyler.
Yeah.
Burning crosses.
Yeah.
So anyway, I was like, I took back my criticism of the eyeball shots because I was realizing they were setting up the sunglasses reflection.
I'm checking to see how long the movie actually was, and it does say 102 minutes. I felt like there were some instances of stretching, like just trying to, kind of make it a little longer.
Yeah.
I felt like that. Well,
like driving into the forest, like with the, noble music, lots of French horns and and then we're still driving through the pine trees, and it's like
That's true.
yeah, the music. Yeah, I don't think I wasn't happy with the music.
no.
A lot of crossfades too. Did you notice that? I was criticizing the editor for using all these crossfades, and then the eyeball shots. I'm like, oh man, I know I did a short film called The Trouble with Airbags, and there was a lot. I used a lot of crossfades in a forest setting. I'm like, oh man, I'm just rookie 101 editing mistakes. Oh, also Talia Shire, it didn't seem like there were strings on her cello.
Oh, really?
Did you notice that?
No, I did not.
I mean, maybe there were, or maybe she really can play cello. I don't know.
Yeah, it was hard to tell. It looked pretty good. Like she at least did some practicing to make it look good. I believe she could play cello. Honestly, she probably can play cello because if you think about her family, father was a orchestra conductor and composer. She probably can play cello.
Is she Coppola's sister?
Yeah.
Francis Ford Coppola's sister?
Yeah.
She's super cute. I mean, she's exactly the type of gal that I go for. So my wife is like a tiny brunette. Of course, Talia Shire's Italian. Shire, though, is that Italian name?
No, David Shire. She was I don't know if he was her first husband, composer. Yeah, who actually, did the music for The Conversation, which, talking about Severance in the previous episode, that, the theme, Severance theme, and a lot of the music in Severance seems to evoke David Shire's theme to The Conversation.
Did he do Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3 too?
He did the Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3.
That's great.
Yeah.
He was experimenting with 12-tone composition, so all those crazy is like using all 12 notes.
I will say this film, is a creature feature.
As it says on the box, monster movie in quotes.
Right, because I think it was trying to be a more intellectual monster movie, which I don't think it achieved. But I think all my stupid comments about Talia Shire, she really acted the shit out of this movie. She did a really good job with what she was given. I thought she was great. I thought she might have been the best actor in the movie. And I think everybody was pretty good. And that's what kind of held it together over a regular B movie.
Yeah, they're all really good actors.
Yeah,
and it is kind of a crappy movie. Yeah. I mean, it seems almost like a made-for-TV movie at times. Like at the beginning, it just seemed very cheap.
That could be the VHS also.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I wondered a little bit about that. Like how much of this is the transfer versus the film itself.
And is it
rental
also?
40-year-old tape.
Was it formatted to fit your television screen?
So I begged my family to let me see this movie in theaters when it came out. What is it?
79, it says.
So I was probably 8 years old when it came out. It came out the same summer as Alien. I was fascinated with both of those movies. I wanted to see both of them. They wouldn't let me see either. Although a year later, they let me watch Alien on HBO.
Wow.
But because this was PG, I was like, well, Aliens are. This is PG. And my aunt had seen this movie, and she's like, no. And I wonder if they just didn't want to go see it again, or...
I saw this, so I would have been junior high school, and I went. I'm not sure who I went with.
Me.
Was it you were there?
Yeah.
You went? And then somebody else, though. I feel like, was it just the two of us?
I don't know. Maybe.
I don't think Mom was with us.
No.
At the LaGrange Theater. Wow. So you got to see all these terrible movies before at a much younger age.
There's no such thing as PG-13, which means you guys could go see it without parental guidance.
Yeah, maybe we did.
How does that work? I guess it just means that if your parents willing to let you go see it.
I don't feel like a parent was there.
No, yeah. I think we got dropped off, and what is it? It was 79, it says?
Yeah.
Yeah. I do remember at the LaGrange Theater, I remember the posters, like you're saying, for Alien. I remember the posters at the LaGrange Theater. I don't know if it was this time, but...
Same summer.
I definitely saw this with you.
Okay.
Because we kind of joked about it later. I really don't remember much of it. Definitely remember the ending. Once we watched the very ending, I remember that. And I kind of remember the crazy deformed bear and the baby. I think I kind of remember the baby.
I remember them finding the baby in the river and it making that like twitching and making that horrible noise. And then I remembered Flying Burrito Boy.
I blocked that out. I vaguely remember
where the young boy who's our age, right? It's is zipped up in his sleeping bag,
mummy's
bag, and then gets flung.
He goes pathetically hopping away, trying to get away from the giant deformed bear, and the bear just thwacks him against a tree.
He explodes.
Feathers, puff. Yeah.
Like a little maggot.
Yeah.
I like to think of him as a burrito.
It's definitely like kind of takes from before it was like Godzilla, the whole environmental thing, and like we watched your other picks, The Host came after. This is like fits neatly in between those two. It's like the environmental monster that's been created by man,
right?
Kind of.
It does, yeah. I wasn't thinking of it that way, but you're right. There is that
seeks vengeance upon humanity.
And as Rick pointed out, the Godzilla -1 showed a lot of territorial aspects to it, and there was definitely a territorial thing going on here where we are invading their land with the paper mill, and that's part of the criticisms I read. Critics 35% on Rotten Tomatoes, and the audience 36%. So,
man,
some critics liked it for being a great horror movie. Others thought it wasn't scary enough and played on ecological consequences as a cliche. Siskel and Ebert thought it was a repeat of Alien, which came out the same summer, and they gave it 2 no's. So they wrapped up the review by saying 2 no's. Now, it wasn't the end of the show summary, and this was sneak previews. So there was sneak previews and At the Movies. I think sneak previews was first, right?
Yeah.
And that was on PBS. And that had the thumbs up, thumbs down?
I guess so.
Or was it At the Movies?
Maybe that was later.
Because they said 2 no's, but I didn't watch the end of the episode to see if there was the thumbs up, thumbs down.
Yeah, it's possible the thumbs came later.
But yeah, they both gave it a no. I mean, you're kind of screwed putting this movie out the same summer of Alien. Because Alien, the creature, the cinematography, the directing, it's a work of art.
Alien.
Mm-hmm. So then, when you're holding that up next to this movie, even though I think the acting, everybody was very sincere in this film. It wasn't like a corny monster movie. It might have passed in a different summer.
But it was definitely cheap, though. Obviously very
cheap
movie, which is fine. It's not anything like Alien, or there's no way it would be ever that spectacle,
This brings up the question that I always ask after seeing a movie that's not The Manchurian Candidate and is not Seconds. Is John Frankenheimer actually a good director?
Right.
There's a huge amount of John Frankenheimer films that are very bad.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I don't think I even realized that he had done this. Or obviously, when I saw it when I was 10 years old, I had no idea who John Frankenheimer was. But today, it was kind of like, oh my God, he did this too. Ronin is one of his good movies.
Yeah, that's true.
It's kind of corny too, but it's really good action movie. Right after that, he did some horrible movies.
And he was a TV director that started making movies, right? He was one of those people like Sidney Lumet, and I'm trying to think of all the others that were the other Sidney, right? Sidney Pollack too, right? They all kind of came from television.
Peck and Paw,
yeah. Yeah, and so like from that generation, but it's like, Seconds is really good. Ronin's good. That's, 40 years later, 30 years later? The Manchurian Candidate. But sometimes The Manchurian Candidate, you watch it and it looks a little cheap and fly by night. It's kind of similar to Hitchcock using the television crew to do Psycho, right? It's that idea that, instead of you're doing a more almost like a indie film before they were I guess there were indie films then, but like it was more like using that television crew to shoot a film fast, efficient set. Yeah, it's a cheap movie. And that's part of what John Frankenheimer could do is he could just crank out these movies.
$8 million budget, box office with 18 million. So that's a success.
Yeah.
But 8 million seems like a lot of money back in
Well, you had to
76.
take into account the stunts like the hanging the dog from the helicopter.
Oh, right. Yeah, there were a lot of helicopter scenes.
Eats up $500,000 right there.
Yeah.
There was one shot where clearly it was shot from a helicopter into the other helicopter. You remember, like it's near the end, and they like zoom into the helicopter to show our actors in the other helicopter, and then that helicopter peels away. I'm like, why'd you do that? Like, there's no point to that shot. It must have been really expensive to do.
Directors love helicopters. They love helicopters for shooting footage, but then also filming helicopters. The beauty of a helicopter in the sky. It's like catnip.
I love helicopters.
Yeah.
I made him say this before. I wanted to be a helicopter pilot I wanted to either be a stuntman or a helicopter pilot. Both very dangerous professions.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't do the helicopter pilot because I'm red-green colorblind, and you need those. I think I've said that before on the show. Helicopters they're freaks of nature. You can't.
Yeah.
They're a very unnatural
Magical. Yeah.
flying machine. I think I told the story of a client of mine crashed helicopters in the Navy as a job. Did I ever tell you guys that story? A fascinating guy and fearless, absolutely fearless. Like, in the world of business, a very fearless guy. And a new helicopter, he was in the Navy, I think, and a new helicopter would be delivered, and they would deliver the manual, and he would sit there. This guy was brilliant, and he would read the manual, and he would take notes. After he finished taking his notes, he would take the helicopter up, and then he'd be like, note 1 says, pull this thing this way and pull this thing this way, and it would stall. Like, he basically was stalling the helicopter in his head as he read the manual, and then got up in the air in it and was like, yep, I was right. So like the story is he crashed helicopters for a living. Clearly he must have done it in some controlled environments because he was still alive. But just fascinating, brilliant, fearless. Of course, I worship the guy because he could fly a helicopter, and I never will.
I'll send you a video I came across on like YouTube, of course, that came out, I don't know, a few months ago I think it's Danish Navy, them just landing on some kind of not a carrier, but a small kind of like a destroyer or something, or a fast boat, big boat, not huge, but the sea is pitching and it's a big military helicopter, and they're landing. It's like a training, or not training, but probably just practice, or they're just doing it to do it. And it's really rough seas, and it's just them dropping onto this deck. There's this big landing pad on the back of this boat, and it's all just pitching around, and just there's 2 guys on the deck, like directing them down. They have safety harnesses on, I think, but they're just out in this, and it's the helicopter going, and they're kind of like waving them down, and then it's like, no, whoop, and then the ship goes way up and down, and then he finally just goes bonk and drops it onto the deck.
The whole idea of landing flying machines on boats just seems really dumb. Like, an aircraft carrier is like, what are we doing? There's not a better way to do this. I mean, now we have planes that take off in Missouri, fly to the war, do whatever they're going to do, and then land in Missouri. They refuel in the air, and then...
That seems inefficient.
I don't know. I mean, it seems better than getting them on a boat, taking them off from the boat. A friend of mine did that, too. That was our neighbor. That was his job. He would get in a stealth bomber and fly it around the world, refuel in the air. Another crazy job.
Why can't we have cool jobs?
Yeah, what do you fly to work, Rick?
A Mazda.
Mazda helicopter? That's cool.
Ground helicopter.
And I wanted to build one of those little helicopters, like the James Bond helicopter. Like, there was a while where they would sell those like go-kart helicopters. You know what I'm talking about? They're like 2-seaters and a little engine on them, and I wanted one of those.
Oh, like an auto gyro, like the Road Warrior guy, the
right?
one with those
yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah,
I think those are really dangerous, even more than a regular helicopter.
You think? Yeah. You think they're more dangerous?
I think so.
But I don't think you have to know the difference between red and green to fly one, because I don't think there's a lot of LED.
Right.
You have like a death wish.
Well, I didn't get to do any of these things. I was a chicken.
Just fantasizing about death, not a wish, more like death daydreams.
Right. Well, I did used to throw myself down the staircase and then out the windows At my house, we would film that, for little films and stuff because I wanted to show that I could be a stunt man. When you're young, stuff doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
You just roll down the staircase.
Yeah.
That would hurt now. David Seltzer wrote this film. He was born in Highland Park, Illinois.
Yeah.
And he wrote a lot of Omen movies. He wrote first 3 Omen movies.
Bread and butter right there, The Omen.
And then he wrote 2 of the newer ones, and I think even a TV show associated with The Omen. And then he wrote a TV movie titled Larry.
Oh, yeah.
Tyne Daly was in it.
Not Hello, Larry.
Not Hello. Okay.
Maybe
That would have been exciting. I think
Yeah.
the guys who did Green Acres wrote Hello, Larry. Or no, the guys who did the Dick Van Dyke Show. There was something, somehow, we've talked about this, like McLean Stevenson and stuff, and I feel like I did a deep dive in it. It's one of those writing teams that had done some classic TV comedy, but Hello, Larry, for some reason, didn't catch on.
I watched it.
It was on for like 2 seasons, right? It wasn't just 1 season, right? Or it changed in
2
mid-season.
seasons, I think.
Yeah, like they reworked it.
This film, what kind of impact did it have on you, Rick?
I think this is probably the reason why I don't like horror movies. I think this scarred me for life.
This movie, really?
Yeah, this movie.
Did it scare you?
Yes. It's burned into my mind. The little mutant bear baby, the big mutant bear,
Yeah.
the poor little boy, burrito boy, being flung against the wall.
Did you see
people,
that as a young Rick?
Yeah, I'm sure. I identified with that character. I had what is it called? A mummy sleeping bag?
Did you?
Yeah.
Boy Scouts.
Boy Scouts, yeah. Going camping, Boy Scouts. It's like, wow, am I going to get murdered by a mutant bear out in
Cook County, somewhere in the woods.
In the woods of Cook County?
David Seltzer was born in Highland Park, so clearly he was imagining that too.
Familiar with the wilderness of the
Of the suburbs.
the ring suburbs.
Well, we play that game. Which character are you in the film? So you're saying you're the little boy in the sleeping bag.
Yeah, I think that's the closest. I mean, it might have been the first movie I saw somebody's head getting bit off.
Yeah.
It's like there's lots
That
of bad
happens.
stuff in this.
Yeah, it must not have registered with me. Maybe I fell asleep during
Yeah.
it then. I definitely don't remember much of this movie. Like I said, I don't remember the head getting bit off.
It's dark
It's-
too.
Yeah, if you're not really watching it closely.
It feels like this film was originally an R film and they cut it down to PG. Like the scene where the grandfather's being killed.
Mm-hmm.
That seems like they cut that down somehow. That you couldn't.
It's all
They wouldn't let you
distant.
see it long enough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
far away.
To see what was happening.
Yeah, not just that they just shot that and then they didn't shoot enough footage or anything up close.
It could be that too.
The story of the LaGrange Theater is a few years earlier when we saw Towering Inferno there. Towering Inferno's long.
I think that may have been in Oak Brook.
Really?
One of
I
those
felt
big-
like it was in LaGrange Theater.
The big mustard yellow theater, the
Oh, it's
United
possible.
Artists Theater.
What I remember is with Towering Inferno getting overwhelmed and sick and having to go to the lobby. 'Cause
Wow.
it was and Jim, I think, was asleep.
Yeah, I fell asleep.
Yeah, he was much younger
Yeah.
at that time.
It was loud. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
really loud.
loud.
But I fell asleep still.
Yeah, that's why I think it's LaGrange Theater because of didn't they have like soda dispensers, like a vending machine in the lobby before they had, I felt like there
Yeah.
was like an old school cup
Uh-huh.
vending and I sat there drinking a soda,
The ones with the door,
Yeah.
with the cup and just the
like
lift
a
the door.
coffee machine,
Yeah,
but with
yeah,
soda.
they definitely had those. Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
that.
Could it be that Rick is a more sensitive and more anxious child than Jim?
Yeah, I think that's entirely possible. You could just say Rick is a more sensitive and anxious
Person?
person.
I mean, I read that from the two of you. Jim seems a little more chill.
Yeah, I think that's true.
But isn't that the beauty of how film has impacted you, though, Rick? Is that because, your sensitivity and anxiety sort of you get into the film more, right?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't
I
know.
think that's true.
Yeah.
I know I had that problem. Like I told you, when I would watch Lassie at the end of each episode of Lassie, I'd be crying because the words were going through Lassie's body.
Oh,
My
man,
family
yeah.
had to talk me. So you have to add to my equation, I was sensitive, anxious, and dumb. So then that really hurts.
I remember being inconsolable after Born Free, seeing that at the Village Hall or something. Or that might have been in the basement of the police station. I feel like that was even earlier than the Village Hall where they would show movies. And because one of the lions dies or something,
Mm-hmm.
and I would have been 4 or 5, maybe 6, and it really upset me.
Well, Bambi's mom set me off.
Yeah.
I mean, you just can't do that.
How about those donkey boys in, was it Pinocchio? The boys who turn into donkeys.
I've never seen Pinocchio.
Wow. Yeah,
That
that's
scarred
been a long
me.
time.
Yeah. Oh, and then the elephant in Dumbo, the pink elephant dance, where they get Dumbo drunk. The clowns get Dumbo drunk.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And then they have this crazy abstract drunken pink elephant march kind of thing.
Well, this is back when the science of what you can and cannot show a child was not figured out.
Yeah.
And now they've over pivoted. I was just listening to a podcast today talking about the Tiana's water ride that's replaced Splash Mountain. And they said they did a really good job, but they've taken some of the scarier. They had an opportunity to put some scary elements in the ride. It's a long ride. And just like they've watered down the scariness of the Snow White ride, they watered down the scariness in this ride. And you got to put a little scare in there for the kids. You got to give them the emotional roller coaster, so to speak.
And then, like having a character who's drinking and gambling, betting on sporting events. They don't have those characters anymore in the movies.
like the cat from outer space.
Yeah, like the cat from outer space.
Well, yeah, right. In E.T., they took that character out.
Yeah, exactly.
The remake.
Come on.
By the way, that episode still gets a lot of traction. We get a lot. That's our most downloaded episode.
They're still building the case. The lawyers are working. They have to keep listening to it.
Just over and over
Just
again.
wait for it. We're going to
Taking notes.
So Talia Shire was pregnant. We learned this right after she flubs her first cello performance. We come in on a cello performance.
And this is not Jason Schwartzman. She's not pregnant with Jason Schwartzman. He's too young. Is he born in 79?
Well, that kind of adds up, right?
I think he's a little younger.
Yeah.
He's that much younger than me, Jason Schwartzman?
I think so. Is he the prophecy baby?
I think he's the prophecy baby.
All right.
Well, I'll look that up in a second, but I want to finish my thought.
Sorry.
So she's playing her cello. She somehow flubs the cello performance, and her friend is like yelling at her, "Hey, keep playing," or something. And then right after that, she's like, "You got to tell your boyfriend you're pregnant, or your husband." Or...
Husband, I think.
Yeah.
That relationship, I'm not so sure about it.
And then she says, "Your body, your choice."
Mm-hmm.
Talia Shire married Jack Schwartzman in 1980. She divorced David Shire in May of 1980 and then married Jack Schwartzman in August of 1980.
So Jason Schwartzman was originally Shire's son, but then Schwartzman adopted him.
Really?
No.
Okay, yeah.
I'm
no,
trying
I
to
didn't
make my
think that-
timeline
Yeah, okay.
fit the facts.
Yeah, I didn't think that was true.
Actually, I guess he is significantly younger than me because the first thing I ever saw him in was Rushmore,
And he seemed young.
and he was really young in that.
Yeah.
June 26th, 1980.
So 10 years younger.
So it's possible. Like 79,
No, she wasn't
Two-
pregnant with him.
2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks pregnant in Maine. And then by the summer of 1980, she gives birth to. Sure. I think he could be the prophecy baby.
Well, she doesn't have to really be pregnant for the film. She
Maybe
wasn't showing
Maybe she insisted.
at all. Yeah, maybe she's method.
She said she was pregnant.
So, okay, so my question was...
Actually, he was born June 26th, and the Schwartzmans weren't married until August.
Whatever it was right after that she made this movie that she got pregnant. So it was like, it would be weird after doing that movie. Like, I want to get pregnant.
Have another kid. Yeah, apparently she had a kid before, but so.
Right.
Well, the mercury poisoning, is that baby really going to be in trouble? Or is one fish really going to hurt the fetus?
One fish isn't going to hurt the fetus.
And then my question to you, Rick, is that really a human being? Let's get into that. Let's get into, we established she's probably 6 weeks pregnant. Is that a real human
Is it
being?
6 weeks?
or not?
Okay, yeah. Because, okay.
And then if so my question is, did that mercury poison a real human being or not?
You're talking about a conception versus.
Just trying to trap you into some. Don't answer any of those questions.
I'm not going to.
The joke was that I was trapping you into a very sensitive topic. Move
Very
on.
sensitive topic of, yes.
But was the baby poisoned was my question.
Boy, was there a prophecy too?
Oh, there has to have been.
Does there? I don't know. I don't know if prophecy really made that much of a impact.
And you think it's her baby is the
Is the second.
You're talking about a director or screenwriter who really loved babies that become evil.
Yeah. Yeah, like, what's his problem, man?
You must have seen Eraserhead, too. I kind of caught the whole Eraserhead connection. Yeah, it's 77, is that?
Yeah, and Eraserhead, it was around for a while. 77.
Yeah, but it's all about birth and pregnancy and, and the baby. Well, it's just the little bear baby, carrying the bear baby around, and it's screaming. And
let me read the synopsis of Eraserhead. Henry Spencer tries to survive his industrial environment, his angry girlfriend, and the unbearable screams of his newborn mutant child. It's very similar. Total connection.
It's a better synopsis of Prophecy.
Kansas City. Food-wise, once only known as a barbecue town. But thanks to the Taco the Town podcast, everything has changed. Kansas City has rightfully taken its place as a taco paradise, smack dab in the middle of the USA, and all of these tacos belong to us on the Taco the Town podcast. My name is W. David Keith, certified tacoholic, and I live a very taco-centric lifestyle. On the Taco the Town podcast, we're tasting every taco in the town. We shine a light on all of the taco-rific tacos Kansas City has to offer, unearthing great taco memories, checking the latest stories in taco news, and interviewing actors, reporters, chefs, politicians, and musicians about their love for tacos. If you love tacos like I do, you're gonna love Taco the Town. Available wherever you get your taco podcasts. A proud member of the Lotus Pod Podcasting Network.
Lost and Found and Rewound.
Oh, I had a little note about the actor Kevin Peter Hall.
Is he the burrito boy?
No, mutant bear, parentheses, uncredited. He also played Predator.
Oh.
And Harry and the Hendersons.
Wow.
Got kind of typecast.
Oh.
Must have been tall.
Yeah, he must have been a big guy.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Didn't mind being in a suit like 150 degrees.
Wandering on a forest.
A big furry suit.
Yeah.
All day.
So I watched this Friday the 13th docu-series about all those films, and they interview the various people who play Jason in those movies. I guess I don't give those guys a lot of credit as actors. That's my bias that I'm bringing to the table here. Like, that's just a stunt guy, right? Like, but then you find out that there were the guys that played Jason, and then there were stunt guys who did the stunts. And I was like, the stunt guy just couldn't have done what? But I guess there's acting that goes into that. I guess I'm under crediting.
It's like mime.
Yeah.
Or something, just they're silent, right?
They're silent. Yeah, Jason never talks.
Yeah. That's totally like mime. It's body acting. I don't know what.
Was the bear acting today in this film?
I think so. There's a music video our band did where I'm walking and it looks like a robot trying to walk like a human boy. It's like I saw that and it's like, wow. You always think about acting as being performing, speaking, and everything like that. But then seeing me trying to walk in this music video, it was like, wow. So much, there's that huge component of just moving as if you are a normal human being.
Oh wait, so you're saying you don't think you were acting well?
No, it's like physically, it's like Robot Boy, or it's like I was never taught to walk, and it's like now this boy is trying to walk.
But do you think it's because the camera was on, or
no? I think it's because actually, like acting, physical acting is. Actors know this, right? It's an integral part of it, and it's not something you can just do. You can't just naturally stand on a stage, walk around in a film, and like you have to be conscious. Like you have to be trained and good or talented at physical movement.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And shame on me for making those comments about those people who do those sort of monster costumes and stuff. Because even Michael, he took a lot of classes on motion and body control. The old joke of like, what do I do with my hands? Like actors know. They're making choices, and whereas a regular person just wouldn't know what to do. Like I was watching some footage of me bowling the other day, and I didn't know somebody was shooting me, and I look like a tree trunk with like some arms that slightly move. I mean, I'm so stiff. I look like Frankenstein. I have no idea a camera is on me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I look like I'm scared to be on camera, and I'm just acting normally. So yeah, an actor's really got to loosen up and look good on film.
So have some respect, Chris, for the
I want to
body actors.
Usually we do. I apologize in the fast forward segments, but I just want to do it right now. I want to apologize to, what was the name of the guy who played the bear?
Kevin Peter Hall.
I want to apologize to Kevin Peter Hall, and then to all of the great actors that played.
David Prowse.
David Prowse, who's that?
Chris.
Did he play Jason?
No, Chris. You're just terrible. You don't have respect for these people.
You're really, revealing my bias against these. Who's David Prowse?
This minor character. He's in a movie. It's kind of like
He's
a
not
serial
Chewbacca,
film.
is he? No, it's not the guy that plays Chewbacca. I like him. That's Peter or something, right?
Yeah,
Peter Mayhew.
Peter Mayhew played. Okay, so you're redeeming yourself a little bit.
Well, because I have respect for Peter Mayhew and
but not David Prowse.
C-3PO, Anthony Daniels.
Anthony Daniels. Well, he does talk too. He does the voice.
Kenny Baker, I have respect for.
Baker, basically, sitting in a can.
Now, who's turned on these people?
David Prowse was the body of Darth Vader.
Oh, he was.
Yeah.
Oh,
he's also the guy. He's the kind of weightlifter bodyguard guy in Clockwork Orange who lifts up the old man's
That's right.
Wheelchair, carries him around.
That's right.
And does he beat up? No. Does he beat up? Oh, does he throw Alex out the window? Is that what he does? No, Alex jumps out the window when he goes back to that house. Yeah.
Speaking of which, there's a great stunt scene in this movie and it's an old Western kind of trick where one of the indigenous, Armand Assante, Armand Assante, Italian/Irish guy playing an indigenous person, runs into a door and kind of is obscured for a few seconds and then jumps out a window in amazing form.
That was amazing.
And I'm like, okay, that was a stunt, man. That was a real nice.
Yeah. I just watched, I can't remember which Naked Gun movie it was, but there is a scene like that where Leslie Nielsen, and they just do it multiple times where he jumps behind, the stuntman jumps behind the bed and then he pops up and then the guy runs somewhere else and then they just do it over and over again. Those movies are so good. Chris, have you ever seen the Naked Gun movies?
I've seen them. They're great. You know who's really good in those is O.J. Simpson. You guys know O.J. Simpson?
Yeah. Oh, and I know. But that scene where he's on the boat, right, and he just keeps getting hurt,
right?
I cry. That's every time I see that, it just reduces me to tears. It's so funny.
It's that screwball comedy.
Yeah, I love
screwball comedy.
I love it. And you know what? I was going to send you guys a picture, but I just didn't have time to get a shot of what's his name, Jonathan. Previously, I talked about him being on a $6 Million Man, Bionic Woman crossover, the Fembots multiple episode arc. He's channeling his anger at being in this stupid TV show into his character.
Yeah, he was in the War of the Worlds, the radio.
Yeah, John Houseman.
So
John Houseman is in, I think, the first Naked Gun movie, and he's playing a driver's ed instructor. And so there's this whole scene with him, and there's a woman or a driver's testing guy, and he's the driver's examination guy, and this woman driving, and then Leslie Nielsen gets in the back of the car, and they do a chase, and he's like, take a left here, and then it's like, and I looked it up, and it's his last movie.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
Yeah, John Houseman.
Leslie Nielsen was a friend of our friend, our friend Larry. We've talked about him being good at bar sports.
Bar sports, yeah.
You wouldn't be surprised to know that Larry's uncle was good friends with Leslie Nielsen.
Wow.
And one time Larry was driven over to Leslie Nielsen's house where I think Larry sat in the car while his uncle went in and got drunk with Leslie Nielsen.
Didn't get to meet him.
Which also reminds me of a time where I was in driver's ed. That was the only class I ever got 100% on everything I ever did because I wanted, and I was a bad student back then. I the worst, but
I'm a good driver.
100, every point possible on every quiz, every test, perfect. Because if you didn't do well, you wouldn't get into on the road where they actually put you in a car and you got to drive around.
Got to drive across the country popping pills,
Well,
listening
sorry,
to jazz,
maybe it
hot
wasn't called
jazz.
on the road. I thought it was called on. I think it was called on.
I think it was.
Yeah, there's like a hipster in the back with his arm around a girl. But anyway, I made sure to get in on the road. It was me, this kind of meathead jock kid, good-looking jock kid, and this really cute girl. And immediately, the meathead jock kid almost gets us killed on the highway. So we get back, and the next day we go to on the road. It's just me and the cute girl, and the teacher's like, "Yeah, he won't be joining us anymore." So then she and I are really like, both are about like, we are here to learn how to drive, and we kind of bond over this like, we're going to learn how to drive and get the fuck out of our homes with this skill, of driving. And so the driver's ed teacher starts to take to us. He's like, I got two real good ones here. Like these two really want to learn how to drive. So it's like the end of the year and we're on a last drive for driver's ed. And he's like, we're going to take a special trip today. And so we like drive over to somebody's house. They open up the trunk and put a keg in it. And then we drive to somebody else's house and they drop the keg off for like some graduation party. So we're like hauling beer around for the driver's ed guy.
This is so funny because me and my son were joking about the driver's ed teacher doing that when he was doing driver's ed. It was like, we're going to run a couple errands, kids. Yeah.
We absolutely did that.
Wow.
That's hilarious.
And it was because also the two of us also got extra time because we didn't have to split the hour 3 ways. We split it 2 ways.
Mm-hmm.
So we got really good at driving anyway.
Was there a situation where you'd be driving around cars like in the lot?
Parking lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the teacher had like a walkie-talkie or something?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so Judas Priest. There was one of the driver's ed teachers would yell Judas Priest when he was angry. That was the first time I heard Judas Priest as a...
Well, he wasn't yelling it at me
Yeah.
because I was really good.
There's a kid. He's the one. Amazing driver.
I got these two. I don't know how I got so blessed.
It's like the Luke and Leia of driver's ed.
And it turns out we were related. She ended up being my sister. So here I am
so
thinking
creepy.
she's cute.
Yeah. Separated at birth.
Yeah. Nothing ever came of that relationship. Because I think
Weird. What? Really?
we developed a mutual respect for each other as drivers.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we thought maybe someday we'd see each other on the road.
2 cars passing in the night.
Right. And she wasn't a brunette like Talia Shire, so
Right.
she wasn't quite my type.
But a good driver.
But hey, that was attractive. So there's different things you can find attractive about people,
right.
Rick. They don't just have to be good looking. Maybe they could be capable drivers.
Drivers. I know that's somewhere on the list.
My wife just recently got pulled over, and for the first time, I think, ever that I've known her, talked herself out of a ticket.
Wow. Like usually she gets into worse trouble, talks herself into a ticket.
When we were first married, we were early in our marriage. First 10 years of our marriage, we were broke. We were broke for a long time of our marriage, to be honest. She was driving down this road, and it goes from 45 to 25, and she got a ticket. She was like, didn't slow down and got a ticket. The police officer pulls her over. She's crying, and she's like, my husband's going to divorce me. We can't afford a ticket. We can't afford the insurance going to go up, and he can't pay a lawyer to fix it. And she's like, could you please just let me off? And the guy just writes the ticket and goes, no. Hands her the ticket. So then 1 week to the day later, she does the same thing. Same cop pulls her over. She's not crying this time. He just hands her a second ticket. So,
Oh, man.
but no, I mean, we paid the tickets, and it was all fine.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was mad.
Yeah.
And broke.
But you don't have any outstanding tickets on your record.
Right now? No. We've really gotten off target here. Talk about bears, Rick. How do you feel about bears now?
How do I feel about? I kind of feel the same about bears as I did before watching this. I think they're dangerous, unhinged creatures. And I wouldn't want to be stuck, mutant or otherwise.
Even when they have nice fur, and they're not just fleshy, bloody things.
Yeah, in fact, I think a mutant bear, I don't understand why. I guess it's bigger, right?
Yeah.
That was the thing.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, but if Beardo could just kill that bear by stabbing it in the water. I mean, I think that bear wasn't so tough. So yeah, I'd be more afraid of a non-mutant bear.
I mean, a bear doesn't have to be a mutant to kill all those people.
Yeah.
It's well documented on that podcast, Tooth and Claw, I listen to. All they do is talk about bears killing people.
Yeah, bears kill people all the time. They don't need to be mutant.
That's right. And I wrote down some scary bear movies. I thought I'd run these by you guys. Annihilation. Have you seen Annihilation?
No.
Is that who's in that?
Natalie Portman's
Okay,
in it.
yeah, I haven't seen it, but that was I remember people talking about it.
You guys haven't seen that movie?
No,
It's so good.
I don't believe you.
It's really good.
Is it?
It's horrifying.
Okay.
The bear in it is particularly horrifying. Cocaine Bear.
I have seen Cocaine Bear.
Now, isn't there a sleeping bag bear scene?
Oh, there
in
might
that
be.
movie?
I don't remember. I do remember Cocaine Bear was funnier than, or it wasn't as bad as I expected.
Oh, it was gory
Yeah.
and funny.
Yeah.
They kept it light.
Yeah. They kept it light, as you would with a movie called Cocaine Bear.
Grizzly Man.
Seen that? And the lies in that movie. You must never watch this video.
You think that's a lie?
Oh, totally. Werner Herzog cheats.
His documentaries are, he always.
He fakes stuff. And so I'm pretty sure that's just him being dramatic.
Well, first of all, there was no video to it. The lens cap was on the video.
Okay, so it's just
listen
sound.
to
It's
you
audio.
never listen to
You
this.
should
Yeah.
never
But according
listen to
to the Tooth and Claw podcast I listened to, one of the investigators of the situation was the mentor of one of the hosts of that podcast, and they did hear the audio.
And it was bad.
It was bad.
Okay.
But I do think Herzog played it for drama.
He probably faked something else in the movie.
Boy, you really think Herzog fakes his...
I mean, I love him. I love his movies, but
It's like, little Dieter needs to fly. A lot of that is all kind of fabricated. It's about this German guy who was a kid in Germany during World War II and becomes a fighter pilot in America, like in Korea or Vietnam.
I think, yeah.
It's just all about him.
And the prisoner of war.
Yeah, he's a prisoner of war.
And he always has to check every door 3 times to make sure that it's not locked because he can never be in a locked room or something like that. And that's totally fabricated. He made that up for the movie.
And this is a documentary?
Yeah. He made a movie with Christian Bale, biopic or fictionalization of, he did both. He did the documentary and then he did a film, Even More Lies, I guess, with Christian Bale portraying that character.
Well, films are lies, Rick.
Yes, films are lies, as Werner Herzog says all the time. Films are lies.
And then The Edge was the other movie I had written down here. I've never seen it. Have you guys seen it?
With Anthony Hopkins and Alec Baldwin.
Yeah.
I've seen that. David Mamet wrote it, right? I don't think he directed it, but he wrote it. It was okay. I remember being like, ugh, I should have known. Like, just because David Mamet wrote it doesn't mean that it's going to be a good bear movie.
Isn't there something about the two characters? Like one is cheating on...
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's like drama
Yeah.
between the two of them. And
There's
then-
lots going on.
So it's man versus man and man versus bear.
Yeah.
The two constructs of tension in a movie.
Yeah, so David Mamet wrote it, but Lee Tamahori directed it.
So man versus bear, man versus environment.
Man versus Mammoth.
Mamet versus Mamet.
Should this film be lost? Are we done with this movie?
I'd say yes.
Yeah, I agree with Jim.
It was fun to see it again.
It was.
Didn't remember most of it, but
And I always wanted to see you. You've been fulfilling lifelong desires this season.
And I didn't pick this because it was one of my favorite films or anything. It was because, literally I had the VHS tape of it and I did not remember buying it, but it was definitely a little bit of nostalgia when I bought it, probably 25 or 30 years ago, where it was like, oh, this is the movie that horrified me as a child. And I need to watch it again.
It's a great poster. The artwork for it is really good. Right? It's
it's
almost
kinda
like
like
an alien egg.
David Cronenberg movie.
Yeah.
He should have made it. What would
It would have been much better.
But there's no coincidence that thing looks like it's in an egg.
Yeah.
Right? That's got to be cashing in on the alien poster.
I mean, I guess, but the thing is that it is about mutations in the womb.
Birth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it makes sense. I feel like this is a movie that paralleled Alien. It wasn't made because of Alien.
No, but you could make a poster after a film has
That's true.
come out and been successful. Should this film be found, would you recommend that people watch this film? I know you're done with it, but would you recommend people watch it?
I think if we were talking about movies with bears, This might be on the list.
You're like a bear movie completist.
Yeah. You've seen The Edge with Alec Baldwin, and well, have you seen Prophecy? What? Prophecy? Yeah, that's a bear movie too.
Should this film be rewound? It doesn't sound like you guys are going to revisit this film.
Well, it should always be rewound. And so that was the problem, is when first pulled it out of the case, it was not rewound. So apparently did not consider it to be
Worthy.
of rewinding. Yeah, this is originally. But this time we did. I did hit rewind.
We did, but that's just to be responsible.
Yeah. As my children or grandchildren are going through my house, clearing out everything, and then if they find one of 10 VHS players, and then they find 100 VHS tapes, they'll be able to pop this in and watch it from the beginning and not have to rewind.
You know, I always worry about my friends' kids or my kids going through like our old yearbooks or some of the songs and stuff that my old high school bands used to make and stuff, and like listening to it. It's so offensive and awful and embarrassing now. And then I'm like, there's no fear of that. My kids aren't going to go listen to that. They're not going to find a bunch of cassette tapes and go, you know what we should do? We should listen to these.
Deep
All
dives.
Yeah.
You know what we should do? We should read every page of this yearbook and see if Uncle Chris wrote something stupid in it. Like, yeah, they're not going to do that.
I'm sad.
And on that note, we'll conclude our final episode of this half of the second season of Lost and Found and Rewound. And we'll be back for our specials. Now, looks like there's going to be some configurations to the promises we've made.
I think we need to have a meeting about our specials and make sure. Like, for instance, our most popular special is the E.T. versus Cat from Outer Space, right?
Correct.
So I feel like Jim has a responsibility to come up with another.
Well, Tangerine Jim.
Oh, yeah, I guess Tangerine Jim is the blockbuster.
I don't know. We'll
This-
have to talk about that.
Yeah,
I don't know.
He's not. But the thing is, Jim, is you do not need to listen to Tangerine Dream. You don't need to do any work. That's the whole
Right.
point of Tangerine Dream, is you commentary on Tangerine Dream without any context,
That one we'll do in Jim's room with his record collection.
just leafing through.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, so some of the special promises we might have to break. I'm open to all suggestions. I just threw those out there.
It's just, Chris, sometimes you throw things out there and then apparently they become canon. They become permanent. They become, it's like, I'm just throwing this out here. And then it's like, what? Wait, we're doing what? We're doing season 5 in season 2? All of a sudden, 5 seasons have become 1 season?
Somebody has to drive this train, you know? Like, I don't see you complaining when I'm editing all the episodes. I don't.
You don't see it because I'm listening to the edits by myself. You don't hear it. What? Chris.
I give you opportunity to give feedback, ample feedback.
Yeah, and we know how that works.
I would take the feedback. Every piece of feedback you've ever given me,
Sure. Yep.
I've incorporated into the edits.
Yep, that'd be fine. I'm joking. You're doing a great job. And thanks for bringing up your editing and making me feel guilty.
I'm not. I'm just.
I can tell.
I'm
Yeah, there's some deep resentment there.
No, I'm just.
You bring it up all the time. I'm editing this. I'm the one doing all the work. I'm editing this.
No,
You guys are just coasting. You just sit there, jabberjaw away, and then I have to do all this work. But that's fine.
Look, I enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
And I wanted you to have a podcast where you didn't have to be the primary editor of it. I mean, you are the technician because we can't let me. We've learned that we can't let me record the episodes.
Well, you can. It's just that we're going to
doesn't
get
go
like
well.
about
To
a
do twice as much.
50%. Yeah.
So we'll come back.
See, now I'm worried that something's going to go wrong with this episode. It's
Oh,
gonna
man.
glitch. There's a lot of gold here right at the end.
Right. Yeah. Well, we'll figure out what those special promises. You know, the other thing is I promised that we get Rick Digit. And I don't know how I'm going to do that.
Yeah, I'm a little uncomfortable about.
And I'm not going to make you do that.
Okay.
I will try and approach him quietly, like as if he were a mutant bear.
I think it might be more of a situation where Rick is feeling like he's being approached by a mutant bear. It's just like, what? Who is this guy?
Oh, geez.
What's going on?
Thanks, Rick.
Yeah, no, I didn't mean literally like you were a mutant bear, just being like shocked. Yeah.
I send him a Facebook message and just
How much negotiation do you think it took to get? Did Talia Shire at some point say, absolutely not, I am not going to do the baby mutant bear biting my neck? That's where
Yeah.
that's where I draw the line. Like, how much cajoling do you think happened on set?
I'd argue none, because I think after I watched this movie, I think she went all in on this movie. I feel like she, well, again, you pointed out, Jim, everybody acted really, really well in this movie, but I thought she was the best of all of them and didn't blink. I think she just read the script and did what the script said. I didn't see her being a diva or anything.
It made me sad. Little mutant bear puppet biting at her. It's just like her thinking, I was in an Academy Award winning movie just 3 years ago. I was in she was in both Godfathers, right?
All three of them.
All three. Well, yeah, I'm not counting the third one because that would be later. But she's like, I was in both Godfather movies, and now I'm being bitten by a mutant baby bear puppet.
What are Talia Shire's other roles, other infamous roles?
Infamous?
Or
Famous
roles?
Rocky.
She's in Rocky.
Oh, yeah.
Dude,
What am I
you should
saying?
check that.
Oh,
You should
my
check that out.
Lord.
You might
Yeah.
like that movie.
I love Rocky.
This is a good question, though. And yeah, her brother didn't direct that movie, so. Oh, yeah, she plays in Abbott Elementary. I just saw that episode. She's the mother.
Think about that, though. So she's in the Godfather series, and then she's in probably all 7 of the Rocky movies.
I don't know if she's in all of them, but she is in a lot of them. I saw one where she's dead.
Oh, she does die.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
She's in Megalopolis. I forgot about that.
Yeah, well, that's nepotism there.
Well, her doing a favor for her brother, I think.
That's what I mean.
Part 3. Yeah, she's in part 3.
Of what, Rocky?
No, Godfather.
Oh, yeah. Of course she's in part 3. She's
up
a
to
big,
Rocky
big role in
4.
that
Let's see,
movie.
Rocky. Yeah, it looks like Rocky 4. Oh, Rocky 5. After that, it's a little slim pickings. She played Talia Shire in an episode of Blossom. Yeah, she definitely didn't do much. Had some downtime.
I was going to say beggars can't be choosers, but I mean, being in the Rocky franchise and the Godfather franchise, and being really good in those movies, too.
Yeah.
She helped Stallone get through Rocky. She helped bring a lot of the emotional punch to that film, so to speak. I shouldn't use the word punch. We're going to go out with a whimper.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, everybody. We got to go to bed. Thanks, everybody. Rick is sad.
I'm sad.
We have to console him.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for listening to this half of the season. Next half is just wait.
Just
There's some special stuff, special promises that we're going to make. Wait, are you canceling the episode with Michael to do Beau is Afraid?
No, I guess not. Although I'm not looking forward to watching that movie again.
Spoiler alert.
Lost and Found and Rewound is fully funded by Lost and Found and Rewound Foundation funds. Lost and Found and Rewound does not use crowdfunding because our listeners have better things to do with their funding. There's no need to post reviews of Lost and Found and Rewound because our listeners have more valuable things to do with their time. In all sincerity, thank you for listening to the show. We truly appreciate it.
Lotus Pod.